So, I wanted to talk to you about two books. I've obviously teased this one. It's called Please Send Help by Gabe Dunn and Alison Raskin. The second one is actually the first book in the series, so I thought I should bring this up too. I Hate Everyone You, also by Gabe Dunn and Alison Raskin. They're both very similar. One is set in these two best friends' first year of college, and the second one is set in their first year after graduating college. They're best friends from high school, Ava and Jen. Um, and in both cases, they are separated from each other for college. One of them is on the West Coast, the other one is on the East Coast, and they are texting and emailing each other. And then for their first sort of career moves after graduating from college, one is in New York City doing an unpaid internship at a late night show, and the other one is in Florida working as a reporter at a small town newspaper. What I think is really excellent about these books is how it just felt really real. They get into relationships and, both romantic and sexual with people who kind of suck and who they're not meant to be with long term, and who, if the other one had control over their lives, they would not be dating. But that's not really how relationships work. I think in a world of YA where we're told ridiculous things like, oh, they got married, these high school sweethearts, it's really cool to see two young women dealing with realities that I think are much more close to real life, in that they're dating kind of scumbags and jerks, and that takes them a while to figure that out. They're also very motivated. Ava, who was on the West Coast for college in New York City for her internship, is hoping to make films, potentially comedy, or at least, work in TV. Jen is very dedicated to journalism, and they both are sort of trying to figure out how to make that work. Another thing I loved about these stories is that Ava's character is deals with anxiety, and as someone else who deals with anxiety, it all just felt very real. And the way she talked about it is not like not self-pitying, and very just sort of matter-of-fact and hilarious. It just sort of talks about, my brain works this way, so this is how I deal with reality. Was wonderful and refreshing. And so, having to deal with anxiety on top of being at college without any new friends, and then trying to navigate this really sort of, competitive workspace is fascinating. Jen is, in the first book, discovering her sexual identity. Turns out she's queer. And is really interested in telling important stories, and particularly stories about queer and trans people throughout both books. And it's just wonderful and fascinating to watch these young women pursue what they're passionate about, and supporting each other and fighting each other and making up. I think a delightful chronicalization of female friendships. One last thing that I just thought was really cool about Please Send Help is that one of the characters ends up getting herpes and deals with the shame and the stigma, but ultimately the book frames it as like just this thing that happens to her, and she'll be fine and she'll get through it. And I remember from my own personal life, I remember the first time that someone who had herpes explained to me that herpes wasn't really that bad with medication. Your outbreaks get worse and worse, not worse, get better and better and better, and get spread out more and more and more over time. And I was shocked and furious, because everything I'd been told, from like sexual education to media portrayals, was that herpes was the freaking worst, and you should never get it, and it's just gonna be a plague that's gonna ruin your life for the rest of your life. And it's actually just a thing that happens to people, and it's not that big of a deal, and won't ruin their lives. And it was just really cool to have, I would call a new adult book, not quite a young adult book, talk about that and deal with that. On the note of like where I would classify it, I don't think that there's anything inappropriate or wrong that teenagers couldn't read. You could absolutely recommend these to teenagers. I would say probably folks who are in middle school would have a harder time just sort of relating to the places that they are in their lives. But also I think that these books would be great for, you know, folks who are either in college or starting their first steps towards adulthood. I think they're just really great for that age group, and like I said before, just perfectly explain that part of folks' lives. So, I Hate Everyone But You is out right now. Please Send Help. I actually got an advanced reader copy, and it's not going to be released until July 16th. But, you know, you can pre-order that. You can put it on hold at your library. If your library hasn't pre-ordered their own copy, tell them to do it. They're great. Thanks.